Welcome to Beyond the Brand, the podcast that takes you inside the world of franchising, brought to you by Business Alliance Incorporated. We're here to share real stories, expert insights, and strategies to help you navigate the franchise industry with confidence. Let's dive in.
Hello and welcome to this episode of BAI's Beyond the Brand. Very excited today to feature a longtime franchise partner of ours, iTrip Vacations, and their franchisee in Oak Island, North Carolina, Hugh Fosbury. He's been with the company for about 4 years. Going on, is this your fourth year as a
Right.
franchisee?
Starting our fifth.
Yeah, perfect. So we'll hear a little bit about Hugh's story of finding iTrip and learn a little bit more about the life of a franchisee straight from one themselves. So really looking forward to it. And Hugh, thanks so much for your time today.
Absolutely.
I like to dive into these conversations just to get to know a little bit more about you. And so I was curious, before ever finding iTrip or starting this franchise journey, what was your professional background in the years before?
So I was in the pharmaceutical industry. My
Okay.
last, let's see, maybe 35 years in the pharma industry. Over the course of 35 years, worked with three big pharma organizations.
Okay.
The last one was for just over 10 years, Ava Pharmaceuticals. My last 10 years, I was basically working up in Philadelphia, lived in North Carolina. So I was traveling
Oh, wow.
every week, literally every week, to either some other location or to my office up in the
Mhm.
Northeast.
And what kind of roles did you have in those companies? What were your...
So started out as a sales rep and then worked up to the marketing group, launched a number of brands that you may have heard of, largely in the respiratory space. And my last couple of years, I was vice president of a group within Teva called Biosimilars, which is
Okay.
basically trying to make some of the more expensive biologics that we hear so
Mhm.
much about on TV now with the ads, trying to make them more affordable.
Okay.
So Teva is known to be a large generic company based out of Tel Aviv, and we're trying to apply that cost-effective generic mindset to the biologicals, and that's what a biosimilar. So that was my last couple of years at Teva.
I can see the writing on the wall, what might have led you to looking into business ownership, all that travel, I'd assume. But what was it that was the final straw for you where I'm going to make this leap and start looking into business for myself?
Yeah, it was probably in the middle of COVID, 2021. We were grounded for a while, told to stay home, and
Yeah.
actually being at home I'm here in a little town called Southport, North Carolina, right on the coast, gorgeous area. Moved from Raleigh down to here back in 2014 because as long as there was an airport nearby, I was fine, and there is one in Wilmington. So I could fly anywhere from there, so that worked fine. So we moved down here, and between COVID and had already turned 60 and had spent the last 10 years of my life pretty much away from home. It was just a good time to
Yeah.
say, let's take a package and do something different.
Yeah, absolutely. And was franchising the first thing on your mind, or how'd you start that process to look
Yeah,
for what's
probably not
next?
the first thing. We looked at several things. So iTrip happens to be my fourth franchise that I've been involved with since I left college. And so I had some familiarity there. But when I first got out, I wanted to do something with my son. So we were going to do a self-storage facility. We bought some property that was nearby. It's a growing area, a lot of self-storage opportunity here.
Yeah.
Bought the land, and then COVID hit. So in the middle of all, that's when I was actually going to do all this even before I was going to retire. I was going to buy it and let my son run it. And then the funds dried up in the middle of COVID. The banks got scared. So we put that on hold and ended up saying, okay, let's go a different direction. So I started looking at various businesses for sale and came across, actually, there was a listing up in Raleigh, North Carolina, where that kind of caught my eye. So I started talking to the broker and learned about iTrip. I didn't know much about iTrip at the time. So
Yeah.
learned about it and went through the process and very happy with it. Never looked back, and it's going well.
That's great. And what was it about iTrip in particular? What were really the highlights that piqued your interest the most about the brand?
Yeah, obviously the people were solid, seemed to have their head on straight. It was actually a pretty simple business model. It's not hard
Yeah.
to get your head around it. In North Carolina, you have to be a realtor, a broker to do
Mhm.
property management, which my wife has her broker's license, so we could do that. So that was the first step. And we'd had rental property in the past here on Oak Island that we've sold some time ago. So we had some experience from that side of it and was always a bit intrigued with the concept of property management. It seemed something that you could do, was pretty scalable.
Yeah.
Didn't require a whole lot of expertise other than just good hard work and grit, basic blocking and tackling to be successful in this business. Yeah, so looked into it and it hit all the requirements. The cost to get in wasn't prohibitive. What they offered from a development standpoint, education, resources, long-term support, all seemed to be what I was looking for.
Yeah.
Spoke to a number of other franchisees at the time that were already in it and got some good feedback from them. So it just corroborated my thinking and yeah, took the plunge.
Absolutely. So you make that leap, you become a franchisee. And in the early days, what skills from that kind of sales and marketing background do you think really helped you as a new franchisee? What translated over well?
Yeah, obviously you've got to have some kind of a sales background. You have to get out there, and our phone is not going to ring with homeowners saying, gee, can't wait to list my property with you. You have to go out there and start telling people your story, come up with a value proposition. Why are you different? How are you different? And why should I entrust my whatever, pick a number, $1 million beach home with you versus using an established group that's been around for 20, 30 years down the road here.
Yeah.
So you got to really figure out what your value proposition is, what your differentiation is, and then just start putting the word out there. I did a lot of work with the local realtors, and I did a lot of rental projections for them with really no strings attached. Here in iTrip, we don't sell real estate under iTrip. My wife does under a separate business, but we don't sell real estate as iTrip, and we try to position our situation as being non-competitive with the realtors, so they could pass along their potential buyers to us and not have a concern that we were going to try to steal them 3 years down the road when it's time to sell. So we tried that, but yeah, just over time, it's just basic blocking and tackling. Get your first, get your second, get your third, get your fourth. Next thing you know, you're starting to put the word out. We probably took some properties that perhaps other companies that were more established didn't want to take. They weren't the large home right on the beach, so we were more open to taking other properties that perhaps other companies wouldn't take.
Yeah.
That helped us cut our teeth, helped us start to make a reputation, and just taking it from there.
Yeah. It sounds like a pretty grassroots approach for you guys in the early going. And when you say realtors were a good referral source, when they had someone buy those vacation homes, they'd refer them over to you to have you manage those properties.
That's right.
Oh,
That's right. We would offer a realtor referral fee for that. That would the amount of that would depend on the rental opportunity of the property. It'd be a range. But yeah, and you just start to put the word out, and you start to get some feedback on social media that is supportive. We had a couple homeowners that it was going on. We took a video of them and put it on our website just to give the voice of the owner to hear what they have to say, and they were supportive and complimentary. So you just try to build it. It doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
It took a while, and you're not going to be making a lot of money that first year, but it takes time.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's any business too, like we talked about a little earlier. So on the reverse side of that coin, in your early days, what do you think was the biggest learning curve for you with this business that you really leaned on the franchisor or maybe other franchisees for the most help with?
Yeah, this is an interesting business. We're really threading the needle between a homeowner with one of their most valuable assets in their portfolio and the renter who's saved up for a year to take their family on vacation. And you're trying to bring those two together and kind of that needle, like I said, and please everybody. So you tend to find yourself in between there, and it's a good place to be, but you have to be very thoughtful about it and take care of both sides. You can't just take care of one side or the other. You got to take care of both sides constantly.
Yeah.
So just acknowledging that and just accepting the challenge that offers, just know it's going to be difficult. One of the things we found, again, it's not rocket science to be successful in this business. You follow up, you give good service, you do say what you're going to do. Again, it's just basic blocking and tackling. So it's not easy to be successful, but it's very doable. You just got to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I know, just knowing about the brand a little bit, the partnerships with Airbnb and VRBO, some of the really leading technology in this kind of space, how much does that help you as a franchisee?
It helps a lot. And that's really one of the advantages of iTrip. It does have the relationships with, and of course, the back-end technology is spectacular. It has the relationships with all these vendors, or I should call them OTAs, online travel agencies. We're super host with Airbnb. We're premier partner with VRBO. We've got a great relationship with Marriott Homes and Villas as an example. We utilize dozens of these travel sites to advertise our homes.
Yeah.
And that's something that not many other companies can offer. Your local mom and pop doesn't really have that capacity. They might use Airbnb and or VRBO and then their own site, but that's about it. But iTrip can really blast the airwaves. We found that about a third of our business comes from Airbnb, a third comes from VRBO, and a third comes from all the others, including iTrip. So it's that extra third that we think really makes a difference for us.
Absolutely. Yeah, that totally makes sense. And how long into it until you can identify that catalyst point for you where you looked at the business? It took a while to get up to scale and really add properties, but can you look back on a moment where you took a step back and said, okay, this is going to work. This is a viable business model, and this is something we can really scale?
Yeah. You could see its scalability, but it probably took me to get, I'm going to say 15 to 20 properties where you're finally going, okay, now I can catch my breath and say, okay, this is working. This just keep clicking. We actually had very specific goals and strategies for ourselves. Coming from the corporate industry, we're big on goals, strategies, and tactics. So I applied that mindset to this, and it's worked well. So you got to have realistic goals and have very clear plans to get there, and just have a game plan and work the game plan. But probably right around maybe 20 properties is where we finally, and that was certainly it was after our first full year was 2022. By the end of that year, it was clear that it was clear before that, but it was really clear after that, where after a full year and a half, it's okay, this is working.
Absolutely. And
had my son working with me, so that was obviously a plus. He then brought his wife in to work with us.
Oh, great.
So having that dynamic has been a lot of fun as well.
Yeah, family business. That probably feels a lot different than flying back to Philadelphia every week for the corporate job. That's amazing. And so where is the business at today? How many properties do you currently manage?
We have right around 85 properties now. Again, we're starting our 5th year. Our goal for this year is 90, and we're tracking nicely towards that goal. That's our goal for this year.
Great. And I'm not super familiar with that part of the country. So can you tell me a little bit about the market? Is it how many vacation homes are there? Is it a big tourist destination? Just want to get an idea of if it can work here, it can work in a lot of different similar vacations.
So Oak Island is right on the coast of North Carolina, just south of Wilmington, North Carolina.
Okay.
Oak Island is no high rises. It's just a nice mom and pop island. That's probably, I'm going to guess 15 miles long. I should know that, but about 15 miles long. There's over 2,000 rental homes on the island, 2,500, so quite a few rental homes. But there's also quite a big permanent residency there as well. So it's not just a strip of sand down the middle. There's actually what we call the wooded section where a lot of people live full time. So it's an interesting blend of vacation rentals and year-round residents. So, and you've got a mix of properties that you can make available to your potential guests, right? You've got your traditional beachfront, some with a pool, some without, second row, third row. And then you have some other homes that are in what we call the wooded section, like I said, that are less expensive, but still very nice. They may have pools as well. They may be pet friendly, may have a golf cart that comes with the house. So have some amenities that then help. Because obviously not everyone can afford the expensive home right on the beach, right? So we try to provide properties that meet the needs of everybody.
That's great. And so 90 is the goal this year. What's your goal 5 years from now? How many properties would you like to see you guys managing?
Yeah, you always got to be careful. You don't want to grow too big. Obviously, you can't just bring on properties. You have to have more staff. You want to make sure that you can always answer the phone. One of our main things is when a homeowner calls, we answer the phone and we respond. We have a sense of urgency to respond to our homeowners and our guests.
Yeah.
But that's important to us. It's just the way we'd all want to be treated. That's the way we want to return. So right now, probably in 5 years, I'm going to say 150 is a realistic goal.
Yeah.
But if we get to a point where we say, you know what, we need to back that off, we will. We want to do the right thing.
Smart. That's great. And then has your role in the business changed at all as you brought on your son and his wife? Have you been able to allocate some of those responsibilities elsewhere, or how's your day in the life changed over the last 4 years?
Yeah, I'm now less involved with kind of the day-to-day, property inspections. We inspect every property before the next guest shows up for their stay. We have 4 o'clock check-ins. Every day we're going through properties, making sure that they've been cleaned properly, that they've got their welcome bag, that everything's cleaned off and ready to go. So that's the kind of thing that we need help with. And of course, my son and daughter-in-law do that. So I'm not doing that kind of thing, but I'm really more involved with probably the back end, the paying the owners, the finances, overall kind of strategy and direction is where it's my sweet spot right now. At any given time, you do everything, right? As a homeowner,
Yeah.
you do everything. We're not a big company. We have there's 5 of us now that are full time. Then we have a number of contractors who are also very important to our success. Help us from maintenance to cleaners. Yeah, so there's a lot of people, but there's probably 5 of us now that are full time. We do utilize a resource that's based out of the Philippines to help with some aspects of the business that can be done remotely. That's worked well.
Okay, great. And are you familiar with the role of a franchise consultant or a franchise broker? So if you you went into the shoes of that franchise consultant, everything you know about iTrip and the opportunity, you're presenting to a potential new candidate that is interested in the brand. What would be the key highlights of the brand you think no broker should miss when they're presenting iTrip to a candidate?
Yeah, I think one of the things that a broker may not know about iTrip specifically is the network within iTrip, the network of fellow franchisees. We have a
Yeah.
very strong network
Okay.
where we work together. There's a few of us, not me, but others that have put together a forum. We call it an association. So it's not necessarily the iTrip corporate group are very effective as well. But having a group of fellow franchisees that we can kind of bond with, build on, grow with, talk to, commiserate. We're always asking questions. How'd you handle this? How do you handle that? Because you're going to get a different answer than if you're going to ask the corporate mothership, if you will. But having that group of fellow franchisees as a resource has been invaluable.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And that speaks a lot to the brand's culture. I think that there's franchisees in the system willing to help each other out. That's a big selling point for brands. So it's a good culture to connect in with
And it's very intentional. We break it up into different phases of we have groups that focus on just starting out and what you're focused on and what your challenges are. We have a second group that's more of a midpoint. Maybe they're in maybe 3 to 5, 6 years. So they've done all the basics. Now they're just trying to scale. And then you have another group that's more of the long-termers. They've been in this 6, 7 years or longer. And they have a whole different set of challenges and ambitions, really. So breaking it up into those groups, it helps to really focus on what you need at that time.
Absolutely. Yeah. This has been great. Thanks so much for your time today, Hugh, and wishing you and your whole team continued success as you keep scaling there. And pretty jealous of where you live. I looked it up. It looks like a really beautiful place. So congratulations on this transition from the crazy corporate life to doing something a little more enjoyable. It's been a pleasure hearing your story.
Thank you very much. I've enjoyed it. Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Bye-bye.
That's a wrap on this episode of Beyond the Brand, brought to you by Business Alliance Incorporated. If you enjoyed today's conversation, be sure to subscribe and stay connected for more insights on franchising success. Until next time.